All right, so I saw the Bikeriders last night. Let's talk about it. So this movie was supposed to come out last December, like December 2nd. And it was delayed due to the strike because while the actors were on strike, they weren't able to promote their movies. Well, the strike ended like November-ish, late October, early November, somewhere around that time. And I don't know if that would have been enough time for them to really promote this movie. Honestly, the press tour thus far has been pretty good. It's been doing pretty well. So this movie is directed by Jeff Nichols, stars Austin Butler, Jodie Comer, and Tom Hardy. It is based on the photo book by Danny Lyon, where he spent time with and photographed the Outlaws MC, a motorcycle club out of Illinois. I think for people, this movie is either going to be a hit or a miss for them. They're either going to really, really like it or they're just not going to like it at all. And I think that has a lot to do with the narrative structure and what you're used to. This is a non-linear narrative structure. So the way this movie is set up is, again, this is based on a photo book by Danny Lyon and the interviews and photographs that he took of this motorcycle club. So that's kind of the setting here, is an interview. So we have Kathy, played by Jodie Comer, who is being interviewed by Danny Lyon, and we are hearing this story about this motorcycle club called the Vandals, which was started by a dude named Johnny, played by Tom Hardy, and we're hearing about it from her perspective. So some of what we're hearing and seeing is eyewitness stuff that she actually saw, and then some of it is stuff she heard. Oh, well, I heard he started the club because of this. Oh, I heard that this happened that way. So because she is our narrator, she's kind of our tour guide into this club, she becomes a bit of an unreliable narrator, which is fine. I think that makes a story that much more interesting. And because the narrative structure is so different and not so traditional, it makes it hard to say what this movie is about. Is this movie about a motorcycle club? Is this movie about a gang of guys, riding motorcycles in Chicago? Or is this a story about a woman who fell in love with a boy and she basically just tried to save him? Is this a story about a woman kind of losing herself and finding herself amongst the motorcycle setting of that time? Like, what exactly is the movie about? And I think how you view narrative structures in general, that's how you're going to answer that. That's going to determine how you answer that question. But if I had to answer, what is this movie about? This movie is about a woman. This movie is about a woman who falls in love with a boy and has to come to terms with the life that he lives and has to come to grips with whether or not love is enough. I think what this movie lacked was playing on to that love story, because that's how we're introduced to the Vandals in the first place, is this love story. And there's not enough meat in that love story. And I felt like if we got more meat out of their relationship, this would have been greatness. I thought the movie was great. I enjoyed it. I love the pacing, the non-linear narrative structure. Honestly, it just tickled my brain in all the best ways. So for me, this was a hit. But I think if you are looking for a very straightforward storyline, if you're looking for straightforward character development, this is not going to be a hit for you. But I think if you just accept the movie as it is, I think you're going to enjoy it. Just sit back, relax, and let the movie do what it does. The character development in this is very interesting because this is directed by a man, written by a man, but the story is told from the perspective of a woman. So I think the way we see people come to grips with themselves, the way we see people kind of unfold and develop, is going to be different than the way men view it. And I think because we have this story written by a man but told by a woman, it complicates things a little bit, but not in a bad way, at least not for me. So much of their development and their unfolding doesn't happen with their words or even their actions, but more so the subtle behavior. With, Johnny, played by Tom Hardy, we see this man who's very gung-ho about creating a community of brothers and, creating something special where people can feel like they belong. Because you have this man who works this mundane job, who has a wife and kids whom he loves very much, but obviously he's wanting something more grand. He's wanting to experience something great and big, but you see him getting older and realizing that he can't keep up with this much longer, and he's trying to pass off that torch. You kind of see him go from this big man with big power to also seeing this, underlying layer of a man who has power, but is also kind of scared of it. And that's where that female perspective comes in. That's one of those things that women tend to notice. It's those little middle of the line details. And you see him go from just, being on top of the world to slowly just letting himself be defeated. It's sad. It's beautiful. Then you have, Kathy, played by Jodie Comer, who is this, skittish, very prim and proper kind of woman. She's dating this other guy at the very beginning of the movie, and then she gets with Benny, played by Austin Butler. And you see this woman who prides herself on being just a good woman, an honorable, respectable woman, start to lose those pieces of herself as she becomes more involved with Benny and this biker gang. And I feel like that's what this movie really is about. It's about how we change ourselves, how we change, and how we can reshape ourselves when we're influenced by community, the positives and the negatives of that. And then you have Benny, which, interesting enough, because Austin Butler, when it comes to marketing this film, that's been the, primary, lure for people, is Austin Butler, because homie's on top of the world, right? Yes, we love Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is that dude. But Tom Hardy, I feel like, has never been a universal draw. He is a draw. You know that when he shows up, something good is going to happen. You know that, right? But in terms of box office pull, Austin Butler is going to be your go-to if you're trying to pull people into the movie. But oddly enough, he's not, I wouldn't say he's a lead here. He's definitely more of a supporting character, but he has such a presence. He is an emotional center in this movie, which is crazy to say because we're talking about a guy, Benjamin Cross, who is just emotionally dead. And then going and talking about the acting in the movie, Tom Hardy, Jodie Comer, and Austin Butler. Tom Hardy is Tom Hardy. He's amazing. He's a chameleon. He transforms. He takes off layers of his own skin and replaces it with the skin of this character. And, he goes all in, the way he walks, the way he talks, the way he wears clothes, not just that he wears, but the way he wears them. Like, he really just transforms into this completely other person. Like, he was really dedicated to this role, and even in getting that kind of old Chicago accent down. Again, so we kind of see the pulling back of layers in these characters. We see Johnny go from this kind of regular mundane dude to this powerful president of this motorcycle club, to a man who's just ready to give up and just ready to be done. And just seeing that kind of high and then low and the dip, I think he rides that wave very well. But the heart and soul of this movie really is Jodie Comer as Kathy. This is her movie. This is her vehicle. She is the star of the show. She carries this movie, and she is an excellent talent. From what I've been told previously, like, this is one of her first movies, really. This is her first kind of lead into American cinema. She's been in American films before, but this is the first time where it's really been all about her. And it really is all about her. And it kind of sucks that when they were marketing this film, they really couldn't show that in the marketing, because truth be told, we don't know her. We're not familiar with her. And we all know who Austin is. We all know who Tom Hardy is. But when you go into this movie and if you're expecting, Austin Butler to be the lead, he's really not. He's definitely more of a supporting character, but he definitely has a leading presence. He's one of those actors where his presence just precedes him, where he has this ability to kind of shift the atmosphere in a room and even in a scene. But Jodie Comer is the heart and soul of this movie, and she has to be. Again, she's playing our narrator. She is our leader. She's our tour guide into this other world, and we're hearing about these little events that happen here and there from her perspective. And just this skittish, unsure woman to this confident lady. It's just incredible. This is the transformation of her character. And again, riding that wave very expertly. Austin Butler in this movie, I think about him in Elvis, whereas we get towards the end of Elvis is when we really start to see that kind of emotional decline in Elvis. This was basically an emotional decline times 10. Because he plays Benny Cross, who is, part of the Vandals. I wouldn't say he's the enforcer, but he's definitely the guy that if you're looking to pick a fight, you want him there. And it's not because, he's strong and he's tough, but he's just emotionally dead. He's emotionally vacant. He's a shell of a human being. There's clearly a void that needs to be filled, but he has no real interest in filling it. It's almost like he's just resigned himself to his fate, but he can't quite get there. It's almost like he's testing the limits and he's testing God. You know, how far can I go? And, you know, how deep into this depression can I go? This is a guy who's definitely dealing with his own demons, and he's just kind of given up on life in general. But he meets this woman, he falls in love with her, and even still he's torn because he obviously deeply cares about this woman, and the only way he seems to feel himself is with the Vandals. He's torn between the love he has for his woman and his identity. And it's a very interesting tug for a man who's just emotionally spent. I've never seen him so quiet. And I thought he was very quiet in Elvis, honestly, because again, that movie wasn't even told from Elvis's perspective. It was told from his manager's perspective. But he was so quiet. So much of his character is told from his face, from his body language, and just his overall presence. He's the first character we really meet in the movie, a very intense scene. And that's, we get everything we need to know about Benny from that movie, that this dude is crazy and this dude does not care. He feels nothing. Ooh. And he's just almost dead, and it's kind of sad. Okay. I think I've talked about this before, I just don't remember what movie, where oftentimes the setting will become a character, where the setting is just done so well, the setting almost plays a starring role in the movie. I've never done a review on this movie. Well, actually, yes, no, I haven't. The most recent How Derry Maine plays a role. A movie from 2022, The Black Phone. Is it called The Black Phone? The one with Ethan Hawke? Good movie, good little horror movie. The Town plays a role in this, you know, a character role almost. And in this movie, it's not so much the city of Chicago or this, you know, the working class, almost poor neighborhood where these people live, but it's the motorcycles themselves, the sound of the motorcycles coming around the corner, the sight of the motorcycles coming around the corner. Even just when you can know they're coming down the street, and you know this because you can hear bottles shaking in a bar. The motorcycles in this movie also play a starring role, almost a character, this, you know, symbol of just power and acceptance and belonging. A symbol of community, something that binds them together. It's like the name on their backs, on their jackets, you know, just is almost like their name. It says, you know, this is who I am, but the bike is like, this is what I am. And I thought that was the sound design with the motorcycles, I thought was very interesting, very well done. I enjoyed that. I'm a sucker for sound. The sad part here is definitely it's just south of greatness. It's not meaty enough. It's not thick enough. But the win is definitely the casting. Tom, Austin, and Jodie together make a great team, and they balanced each other out. They balanced each other very well for having, you know, these three characters with three completely different personalities. And that's all I got for the Bikeriders. If you happen to see it, it comes out this weekend. If you happen to see it this weekend, let me know what you thought. I'm so happy. Finally, I feel like I've been waiting forever for this movie to come out, and I was not disappointed. Love that very much. Again, I feel like it's gonna be hit or miss. And if it's a miss for you, tell me why. I wanna know why. Because I think the movie's good. The movie's well done and well put together. I just think there's certain aspects of the way the movie was made that's gonna hit with people, or it's not. And that's fine. It doesn't say anything bad about you. We're all just different in the way we process information. It's different. But if it is a miss for you, I would love to know why. I would love to have that conversation. But that's all I got. You guys are amazing. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I love you very much. And I'll see you next time.